Hi everyone, I'm away from my desk. I'm at the whiteboard with my drawing paper again for this assignment. This is week 6 in large shiny object. And because this is basically, if you look at the calendar, this is the last assignment and the 20 sketches that are due at midterm. Now, midterm isn't until I think week 8. You can look at in fact, let's just look at it now. Home and schedule. So week 6, okay, so here, week 8. This is when we're having the midterm critique. It'll probably be on Microsoft Teams, and I'll just send you the link. Actually, you'll get it in the email. I'll send it through email, so we'll talk about that later. So right now, the reason why this is the last one, this enlarged shiny object, we've done everything up until here, is because you'll be starting on your still life, but that's going to be a finished drawing, an extended finished drawing, and I'm not going to give you 1 week to get it done. So while this is assigned before midterm, it's not due until the second half. And you can look at that portfolio list to see what's due. 20 sketches is part of that portfolio list. I had some questions about that. As you can see, it's colder now. So let's see, let's go back to the assignment and read it, and then I'll do the demos. 6. It's not published yet because this is the video, but it will be by the time you have to do it. Last drawing you need to submit midterm. Finished drawing. So refer to the criteria for a finished drawing. It's posted there on Canvas. Yeah, I'm gonna show you some examples of other students' drawings, and you'll see that these are going to be really abstract. And the reason they're going to be abstract is because you're zooming in. Let me see. Actually, I forgot I'm going to show you these examples. I'll put those up here. I'll pause this after I read this. Let me see. The thing that I've been adding something with every assignment, and what I'm adding to this assignment, because we've talked about everything else and practiced pretty much everything else except maybe foreground, middle ground, background, but we've talked about that. And this is the 1/3 white or light, 1/3 medium tone, and 1/3 black or dark. So when I evaluate this drawing, I'm still going to be looking at things like full range of tints and shades. Does it go off at least 3 sides of the picture plane? Does it have line varieties, specifically no outlining? All those other things that are on the criteria, and then this is the one I'm adding, so 1/3 lighter white, 1/3 medium, and 1/3 darker black. Now, like I said before, once, it's worth repeating. If your drawing is a little bit, you can get away with your drawing being a little bit more high key if you have a lot of really dark black spread out throughout the picture plane. In the same way, and this doesn't usually ever happen, but you can get away with your drawing being a little bit low key if you have some really white or light spread out throughout the picture plane. Yeah, include all the other stuff that's on that criteria for finished drawing, because if it's got an X in the refined column on the portfolio list, as this does, then that's what I'm grading it. I'm grading it by that criteria. Let me see. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be showing you this, just, how to make sure that whatever you're drawing is stable. I'll show you that when I do the demo. This will take a little bit longer. Let me move this over. And it'll take a lot longer if you don't tone your paper, either the whole thing or spot tone it, because obviously it takes a lot longer to get 1/3 darker black, 1/3 medium tone using the end of your pencil or even the side of this than it does if you scrape the graphite on there. But I'll show you all this stuff again. I think I showed you this once already when we did luminosity, but we'll do it again. And remember, you can skip through this if you want to. Let me see. shapes. Oh, the 20 sketches, those are due at midterm and again at final. These are on your own. These are not tied to any of the other assignments, and they're listed separately from the other assignments on the portfolio list. So these sketches can be of anything, even something from your imagination, or copied from a two-dimensional source. So you don't have to stick to those rules of working from what you see in the real three-dimensional world. You can copy off a two-dimensional surface or use something, from your imagination. I only count them, so you can draw whatever you want. You can use them, like if you make mistakes on other drawings, some of you did a couple of cross contours, you can use those extra ones. You just have to submit them in this place, and that way not only can I compare to make sure that you didn't submit them previously. I never have a problem with that anyway, but I can also, if you don't put your assignments in the right place, then they don't match up with the score that's for that place. So a couple of you I've asked to resubmit them, and it's never actually been a problem. You can spend as much time as you want on these, but I suggest between 1 and 5 minutes. You can do more than one sketch on a page. I had one student do one of those, I forgot what they're called, flip books, where you do a little scene on the corner, and then when you go, it looks like it's moving, like you do somebody running or something, or somebody throwing something for a dog. And they did like all 40 of their sketches like that, and that's fine too. They're your sketches. Let's see. They said, oh yeah, well, when you submit them here, you can just lay your sketches all out, even if they're on different pages, and just take a picture of all 20. So let me repeat that because it's important. It's much easier for you and for me if you just lay your drawings out, your sketches, and then, zoom out and take a picture of all of them. It's also helpful if you number them, but not that big of a deal. So don't upload 20 different images of these. It's just a lot of unnecessary time on your part more than anything. All right, so let me pause this. Well, here, I've got my materials, so I'll start there, and then I'll, I guess I have my viewfinder here too. So what I have is this chunk, my X-Acto knife, because I'm going to scrape this graphite. Don't use this because it doesn't mix well with other medium. Use your eraser instead to get back to white. Any eraser will do. And then I have just some regular graphite. And then I actually stuck that woodless graphite in here, and then there's a nylon eraser on the end. I don't know. I guess a student did that, and I just thought it was a good idea, so I kept it. They left it behind. All right. Now, how you're going to do this drawing is you're going to take, get rid of some of this. I have a little tiny table here. You're going to take some of anything that's bright and shiny, okay? Except, I shouldn't say anything. I don't want you to use a coin. I'm going to go grab a coin and I'll show you why. 1 second. Okay. So the reason that you don't want to use a coin is because this is a really low relief. So you're not going to be able to get any of those blacks, and actually your whites will be, it'll be like either all white or all gray, but you don't have those undercuts to be able to get the blacks that you need. So what you want to use is something that has some indents in it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your viewfinder, and let me see if I can get this close to the camera, and you're going to tape it down on there. Oh, let me make this bigger. We're done with the directions. There we go. You're going to tape this down on there, and then you're going to draw what you see on there on that large 18 by 24 inch paper. So that's why this needs to be stable, because as you can see, when you turn it, it completely changes it. And see that little white area that's turning black when I move it? And I'm just moving it like 1/8 of an inch because it's so highly reflective. So, you know, even if you're looking at it like from over here, you have to look at it from the same place, because obviously that little area that I showed you, now it's all changed, but that's, you know, like a 6 by 8 inch area on your paper, so it's a big deal. How you know, you could be sitting at a desk, you can be on a board like I am, but if you're on a board, then you're probably going to want to choose something a little lighter because you're going to have to tape it down. I've seen people use things like screwdrivers. The problem is, you know, if you're drawing this whole thing without a viewfinder, I have a whining puppy here I'm babysitting. I hope it doesn't get too annoying, but if you're, you know, the tendency is to draw this whole thing. And if you've got that on your paper like this, you know, you've got a great big diagonal screwdriver, then you're going to have this area or this area that you have to deal with. And it's a lot easier to draw something that you're looking at than to try and figure out how to make this tonally balanced with 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. With those large areas. So here, I'm just going to show you a couple more examples. This would be a good one, right? See how it changes when I just tilt it a little bit. I don't want you to use anything like this, because even though, you know, it's hard plastic or resin, it's just not shiny enough. You know, you can use, I wouldn't use this because it's shiny, but it's just going to be kind of boring and hard maybe, because again, you'll have to make, it's like having too much background. You can put it there. The trick is to make this stable. So let me see, what do I have? I've even seen students use the end of their X-Acto knife. Let me see here. The camera's always, you know, you can do that if you move it, you know, if you have at least the interesting part of the X-Acto knife there. Okay, so I'm going to tone my paper, and then I'm going to tape something up there, and that'll probably take me a little while, so I'm not going to I'm going to pause this while I do that. You know, you can even do something like this, right? And then you enlarge that on that paper. Okay, I think you get the idea. Alright, so I'm going to, well, I'll tone my paper first. I mean, I know that you saw me do this before, but I'm going to do it again. So my paper is already up on this board, and I'm not going to take it down and lay it down. You can't see it there anyway. So I'm just going to take another piece of paper here from my last drawing. I'm just going to rip off a little piece of paper, and this is going to kind of be my palette. Now you can scrape it right onto your drawing, but I'm going to do it here. And what I'm doing is I'm scraping using my X-Acto knife and this graphite chunk. I'm scraping some graphite onto this paper, and then I'm going to use my paper towel that somebody absconded with, and I'm going to pick up this medium and put it on my paper. I gotta get a paper towel. So now I've got my paper towel, and I have to set this down to do this, preferably not on my computer. And I'm gonna pick up the medium on my paper towel, and like I said, you don't have to do this, you can just put it right on the paper. And I think you can see this. Let me move a little closer. And I'm just going to put a nice gray tone on here. It doesn't really matter if I have lines in there or not, because they're going to be all colored up. In fact, I used to require students to put lines on their still life. I don't anymore. I'm doing that next. I just want to get an overall gray tone. And I could spend more time on this and get it really smooth if I want. And you can choose, you know, And here I left a little bit of that chair background on there to kind of tone that. I'll try and do it in both places here. You should actually tape your paper down. And I'm just going to do it to show you. Don't worry about using too much tape. You should have got it in your kits. With this drawing especially, and any of your finished drawings, you should tape it on all four sides like this. Because otherwise what happens is, even if you just leave one side open, you get to the edge and you're drawing and it's really dark and you wreck the paper. And you can't do anything about that once you've creased the paper or ripped it or something. That's not going to be fixed. Okay, so now, let's see if I have any more label here. Now I can go all the way over to the edge, and I don't have to worry about, ripping up the edge. It may seem like a waste of tape, but if you come along with a really beautiful drawing, even if it's unexpected, then you've wrecked it and you've worked all this time on it and it sucks. So I have this, I found a little bell, and I tried to tape the most interesting side showing, and I taped the back of it so it will stay in place, so it will be stable. And I've got this, I'm going to put this right up here so that this won't move. Actually, this way, so it's a little bit more interesting. So now, I'm just going to have to be careful that when I'm looking at it, I'm always standing in the same place, right? And so now I can go ahead and start filling in some of my darks. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to adjust this a little bit because it's kind of falling down and I have too much dark on the top. Okay, so I've already got this corner is really dark, so I'm going to fill that in, and then it kind of comes up here, the dark, and I need these blacks, so that's good. That's a good thing. You have to have black. I might as well make it all the way black right now. And then it comes up over here, and this side is a little bit more of a dark corner. So I'll put that in there. And I'm really, this is like the wonders of oops, 1 second, sorry. So at least that reminded me to turn my phone off. You can't turn dogs off. And of course, my animals want to be in the same room as me. They love this staying home stuff. Alright, so now I've got this I'm looking at this little thing up here, right? And I know you can't see it, but I showed it to you close up. And I'm looking at, there's this opening, right? Actually, I want to see a little more of it. I think that would be more interesting if I can. I only put the background on, so I can move it a little bit if I want, right? Okay, so now this thing's over here, and it comes down like this, and I like this thing because, again, it gives me more blacks, right? And then it comes down like this. It kind of goes like that. That's kind of nice. Now, I can just fill this thing in because it's really dark. And so I think I'll pause this so you don't have to skip ahead, and all I'm going to do is fill in that shape, and then I'll start again. Okay, so I filled in half of this thing because I'm going to show you how to do the other half. And in order to make this look flat when I'm drawing, using the crayon to color this in, or the graphite chunk, I'm going in different directions. So I don't get any kind of unintentional lines in there, and I can fill it in and make it really black. The other thing, remember when you're drawing and not adding tone to paper towel, when you're going like this, you're making kind of an arc, and you probably don't want that unless it's intentional. Like down here it wouldn't work. I have to lift my hand off the paper and go straight. But down here where there actually is an arc, works great. Right? Okay, so now I'm gonna, I want this to be really, really dark, especially as it gets towards the center. So I'm gonna scrape off some graphite here, and then I'm gonna show you how to put that on there really dark with the paper towel. There's paper towel. Now, when you're doing this, this side of the paper towel isn't going to pick up as much medium as it once was because it's all full of graphite. So I'm going to move that and pick up on the other side. and you have to push pretty hard. And if you're going to add the tone this way, you have to keep doing more and more layers, okay? So then I got to go back up here and move my paper towel around again and pick up some more layers. I'm just gonna dump this on. It's better actually if you scrape it onto your paper because you can get a lot more on there. But you can see how if I keep doing this, it's gonna get darker and darker and darker and darker, right? But because I don't want to take this whole board down and I don't want to take this tape off, I'm gonna color it in there. But that, if I did a couple more like that, in fact, I'm going to do a couple more like that and I'm going to finish coloring it and then I'll show you. I'll save the paper towels for the last so you can see how it can be done. Let's take my shirt off, it was getting a little warm. So I'm going to show you this spot. So everything else but that gray spot right here. I did by drawing it on there. Now, the nice thing about, and I can keep going here, the nice thing about not drawing it on, about putting it on in layers with your paper towel, is it doesn't smush down the nap of the paper as much. So you'll be able to erase it back a little bit easier if you need to, but hopefully if you're going to get this dark, you won't need to. Right? And I'll put one more layer on and then we'll call it quits. We can make it darker at the end if we want to. Okay, so I'm gonna soften up this edge a little bit because this is the background and this bell is round, so it's got more of a gradual shift. And the other nice thing about having this black on first, now some people put the black on first like I do and some don't, and it doesn't matter how you do it. But the nice thing about doing it this way is I can take my paper towel and I can fill it with graphite from here. I can look at my bell, and actually I'm going to pick up some more because that right corner up here is pretty dark. So it gets down to there, and this is actually pretty gray. And then there's another area, actually I think I'll use this, right here. It comes off right here. It kind of comes down like this. And I'm going to use my eraser too, so it kind of goes like this. This is another really dark area right down here. And I'm just picking up the graphite from here and moving it over there. There's another gray line that's not quite so dark that comes down here. And then I'm going to have to add some more graphite because over here it's pretty dark. And so it would be a lot easier if I could just scrape this onto the drawing thing, but like I said, then you wouldn't be able to see it, and that wouldn't be very good. This is pretty dark up here. This is really dark here. It's not as dark, of course, as the inside of the bell, but it's pretty close in my view, so see if I can pick up some more here. I'm going to have to pick some up over here. Okay. This whole area is pretty dark. And you should be thinking about texture when you're doing this. This is going to be more than likely a very smooth texture. If your stuff is shiny, it's not going to have a lot of texture. It's going to have a lot of drastic and abrupt tone variance, but it's not going to have a lot of texture, if any. Right? So you can practice working on smoothing that out. So I think I'm pretty close to being ready with my eraser. This kind of comes down here a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to use this big eraser because this is a really big drawing. And first of all, this is a little bit light over here. And then this comes down here. And this line where the especially right here, where the metal kind of, it's where it was punched, so it kind of sticks out a little bit there. There's an edge to it. I'm gonna try and get this line as straight as I can because that's a really abrupt shift. Let me see, it gets a little weaker as it comes down here. This line. Oops, I screwed that up. That's all right. Now, as I was saying before, when you spit on it, you get it wet, and if you brush it off, you smudge it. It's a little bit light over here, so kind of erase that back. And it comes down here. It's a little bit light. It comes up like this. It looks way different than it does. Let me see if I can find any more. There's a couple little bit areas light, a little bit lighter right here, and right here. And then let me see here. On the other side, I've got some really white areas. This right here is white, again, because of it's just got a little bit of edge on it where it was punched out. And then this, see if I move like this, it's very different. This is white here. And then I've got some really white areas here. One comes down like this, and the other one kind of comes out of it and over here. So let me get those in while looking at, notice how much I'm looking at my little bell here, right? And I think we're getting pretty close to getting this done, right? Now, you can't really tell what that looks like, and that's fine, and that's what you'd expect when you're zooming in on something like that. In fact, this side over here kind of bugs me, but whatever. It doesn't have to look like a bell. But is it 1/3, 1/3? You know, it's got all of the criteria that you need for a finished drawing. I'm not going to bother doing it on the whiteboard because I won't be able to get the subtle tonal shift that I need. And I think you can see it pretty good here, right? So I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm going to show you some other good and bad examples so you can get the idea here on what not to do. So this is a nice one. Can you tell what it is? It's actually a lock, part of a lock. This is the lock part that moves, and this is the base over there. So that one looks good. This one, if I've got any welders out there, this is actually a weld bead. It looks kind of like the ocean on a night sky. I think it's beautiful. This isn't in actually the drawing. The student kept it. I just made a copy of it. Here's a successful X-Acto knife. Notice how they used the very end of it. Looks good, huh? These are all student drawings. Has to be on large paper, remember? This is a necklace. This is a little bit more dark, but it's got the lights all interspersed. This is a what do you call those things? A socket, right? So if I can explain it, I have to look at it myself. Yeah. So here, I got this upside down now, but I don't know which way is upside. This is where it goes in, and the rest is the socket. Now this is a pretty high key, but again, it has enough darks. If I can get this centered, spread across the picture plane. This one's got the same thing. It's pretty overall. It's pretty high key, but it's got enough darks. This is actually a keychain. This is the keychain part. And then these are the fringes. It's like this, actually. Like this. This is what it was. I can't remember for sure. These are all students. This is, if I have any machining students, this is some things that I have in my room that I dug out from their bin. Try to avoid going, this one didn't, but try and avoid any diagonal lines going off the corner or getting too close to the corner even. because that sends the viewer's eye gaze off the picture plane immediately. Okay, here's the ones that you don't do it like this. So they didn't zoom in enough. This is too high key. And as you can see right here, it's got some outlining. No outlining, right? Wrench. Again, they didn't zoom in. It's overwhelmingly gray. Nice drawing, but didn't get full credit. This one, these are all because they didn't zoom in, right? Pen, way too high key, and also has way too much outlining. Right there. Oh, well, here's a fabric drawing in case you haven't completed that yet. But I already did some demos and stuff on that. I know a lot of you didn't get a chance to finish your pen drawing, understandable, and this is a good time to remind you that you can submit anything at any time during the semester for full credit. Just submit it under the correct assignment. Now, if you have something that's due at midterm and you don't submit it by midterm deadline, it won't be counted in your midterm grade, but you can still submit that by the end of the semester for full credit, and your midterm grade doesn't go on your transcripts. So here's some more examples of the pen drawing. This one's more kind of overall gray because we have a skeleton in the room, so that's where it came from. But there's not quite as many blacks and whites. It's more overall gray. This one is, these are student works again. This one's more of a black and white kind, but it's still the same thing. The only criteria is that you use all the ink. This one's pretty cool. I have no idea why they didn't take it with them, but I guess they just didn't really think it was that valuable. But I do. And look at it, it's kind of cool where the hands are holding this, and then I'm holding. Let me see if I can line them up. Everything's backwards here, so it's kind of hard. There we go. Oops. There we go. Okay. Here's another one. I'm not sure where the fish came from, but oh, maybe they're like on the wall or something. And we're gonna do a still life notes. You have to do 5 thumbnails of the still life before you do it. Look, tree. Kind of cool. And that's the pen drawing. So the next time I'm gonna show you how to set up a still life in your room or wherever you are, and then I'm gonna do a demo much like I did today. So enlarge shiny object. I really don't like this thing though. I don't know. I feel like this line should continue on, but probably not. Whatever. Have a good day, everyone, or good night, or whatever time it is that you're watching this.